Story 1. A friend of mine teared up while telling me that once his girlfriend needed help with something and he messed up. So she told him, "I shouldn't have depended on you." Story 2. Getting ghosted by someone you care about or being ignored in general. I have been seeing this girl for about a month. Felt pretty hard for her. Things were moving forward really well, and now I have not heard from her in a week and a half. No idea what happened. Did I do something? Confidence was pretty shattered. Story 3. Mine was being berated and belittled in a relationship. She only focused on the negatives and was good at hiding how she talked to me from everyone else. I'm really working to get back my confidence, but it's tough. Story 4. Constant rejection, negative or neutral comments about his manhood, stating he was your safe choice, flirting with other men, or exploiting his vulnerabilities. There are lots of ways to kill his confidence if that's your goal. Story 5. Steve Harvey had a pretty insightful piece about this. He was describing a story from his mother or grandmother. Her advice: never hit a man where he's weak. He goes on to say that you'll win that argument or you'll shut him down if that was your goal, but you'll lose his trust. That man will never open up to you again. I can say that's 100% true. A woman hits a man in a weak place or betrays information told to her in confidence, and he's done with her. He may not communicate that right away, but the relationship is over or at the very least damaged severely. We can take a beating in life, but if the person who is supposed to be our support and strength betrays a weakness that only they know, there's nothing worse than that. Story 6. Not so secret, but being disrespected and being taken for granted by the ones you love. If you put most of your energy into making a good life for your family and they have zero gratitude for it, treating all your extra effort as the bare minimum or still not good enough, it will wreck your confidence. I dated a woman for a long time who at first treated me as though I walked on water. I gave her a life that she could only dream of before she met me. But after a while, she got used to it, then started taking it for granted, then started treating me like she deserved better. Well, she eventually went looking for better without leaving first. Yeah, it destroyed me, but I persevered. I'm still doing well, better actually, and she's more or less back where she was before I met her. Story 7. Being autistic and not knowing, living your whole life just a bit off from everyone else and having to work hard to unknowingly pretend not to be autistic. Working hard all your life to make sure nobody really sees what you really are inside because nobody who has seen has liked it. Having to come to the unfortunate conclusion that the advice you've received all your life, just be yourself, doesn't work. Being yourself only works around other neurodivergent people, and you don't know that. I don't know if I will ever get past the feeling that my company is an ordeal that I need to spare people from. I just stay home and avoid people. Story 8. Hearing women talking about other men behind their backs is easily the most soul-crushing thing because you just know that your loved ones are doing the same thing. I don't know how or why, but women seem to have a knack for saying the most positively evil things imaginable with the casual confidence of someone describing how to hard-boil an egg. Story 9. Striving after things that are outside of his control and tying his self-worth to them. Even if they are achieved, he always frets about them being taken from him. Story 10. For me, it was when I started being interested in girls, and none of them liked me back. I had these intense crushes that went nowhere. All that frustration and longing just simmering away for years on end. Story 11. The constant, unending expectation from everyone. To have enough, to do enough, to work enough, to hang out enough, to have enough energy, to have enough time, to always be there, to never ask for help, to say the right thing, to be the right person, to still be happy. I'm tired, man. Story 12. 9 years ago, I had no idea what I wanted to be, so I just worked at a gas station. I hated it and felt like such a loser. My girlfriend at the time reminded me constantly of what a loser I was because of my job. It really messed up my confidence. Thank God she cheated on me a year later. Story 13. I guess for me it was being left alone with myself. What I mean is having to be your own critic with no one offering feedback one way or the other. And the few times anyone ever did, it was negative, and I guess I internalized that. Or, when you perpetually come up dry on compliments, you figure it's because there is nothing to compliment, And that certainly led to me going in on myself pretty harshly throughout my life. Self-esteem sure looks like a nice thing to have. Story 14. Hearing female friends talk positively about large penises or make jokes about small ones, or refer to ones larger than what you have as too small, can be disheartening. I don't have a micropenis or anything, just a little below average in length. It's gotten the job done well in most situations without complaint, but hearing such comments still eats away at your confidence. Story 15. You know that thing women do where even if a man's got a situation under control, they want to ask a professional or ask their dad or ask their best guy friend. I get that some guys have trouble asking for help, but overruling and disregarding us is just insulting and discouraging. I may take an extra hour longer than the mechanic to change your alternator because I do it once every 3 years instead of 4 times a day, and I don't have an $8,000 snap-on tool chest in the corner, but that doesn't mean I need your dad standing over me, second-guessing me the whole time. And if you want a mechanic to do it or a contractor to do it, save up the money and pay them yourselves. Because men suffer from constant financial anxiety, and if we're giving up our Saturday to rehang the gutters or take apart the washer looking for a short, it's probably not because that's our preference. It's probably because the alternative is $600 to $800 more, and we know the budget can't really handle that. So we're going to grab the tool bag and the ladder and get to work. And if you've got a handy guy who's out busting his ass in the summer heat to make sure your car stays on the road or going above and beyond the call of duty to keep the house in top shape, bring him a glass of lemonade or a sports drink. Put the six-pack in the fridge for when he's done. Rub his back tonight after he's showered. And if the repairs would have cost more than $1,000, intimate gestures are an excellent tip. Story 16. XYZ's husband earns more than you. My mom gave me this. You would never be able to afford it. They are all working and making a living. What is so great about you or us? You are not like my dad. Story 17. His parents. It's great when we are adults if we already know how to handle a lot of our emotions properly and act properly. And it's not hard. It's literally love and support. It's insane watching a kid grow up with parents who support them, love them, and properly respond when upset, mad, or frustrated, and realize how much that can contribute to a well-rounded human being. You don't even have to go above and beyond. But as an adult man, it's insane when talking to family, and they don't comprehend that when you only remember all the times you were cut down by them, and now they have convinced you all these negative things are facts about yourself, how flabbergasted they are that emotionally, mentally, and verbally breaking someone down can result in a broken person. Story 18. People reach out only when they need something from you. Then, when you want to engage in an actual conversation with them and catch up, suddenly the passive one-word answers come up. When you needed me for something, I was Mr. Popular. Story 19. Not being able to work or provide for his family, having to be weak and taken care of by others, and being dependent on them for basic needs. Being told he is not needed for anything. Being constantly friend-zoned or rejected by women. Accepting other people's views of what he can and cannot do when he does not agree with them. Story 20. When I make an effort to stay in communication with her regularly throughout the days, and then the one time I ignored her for 2 hours is what we have to focus on and spend 2 more hours talking about, it makes me feel like the other 22 hours of effort I put in went unnoticed, and you're paying attention to what I don't do, not what I'm actually doing for you. Focusing on small mistakes when you're not making big ones makes you feel like the efforts you put into the relationship are taken for granted. Story 21. No recognition. It's easy when you're in the rhythm of life to just be work, humdrum evenings, and boring weekends, and before you know it, months have passed by with nothing of note happening to you. If you're doing this solo, much respect, but a partner, your boss, or friends should put in a kind word every now and then. From my experience, when I'm in the 9-to-5 groove, I want someone to tell me that I'm doing a good job. Otherwise, I can start to feel a bit low. Story 22. Punishing vulnerability. Doubting competence. Being compared to other men. Being interrupted. Unrealistic expectations. Lack of affirmation or recognition of his work. Lacking purpose. Money issues. Bad health or aging. Story 23. Getting told that you look feminine. When I was 13 or 14, a friend of a friend told me that I looked like a girl, and that one single comment destroyed my confidence for years. Laughing my ass off. Story 24. Never being told you are appreciated makes all of life feel like an endless list of things that I am always attempting to do well on, but never achieving that goal. Story 25. The idea that it's a man's world. The amount of men I know that receive a fraction of the praise and support that other groups get, because we are perceived to be advantaged, is crazy. In my opinion, that consistent lack of praise and support is awful for anyone's confidence. Story 26. I think if a guy opens up to you and you use it against them later, it does two things. It saps their confidence, and they will never be vulnerable in front of you again. Story 27. It's a small thing at the beginning of a relationship, but when the relationship is stable, and the woman never shows affection first, it can be totally crushing. Story 28. Maybe I am just old and out of touch, but I feel like a lot of young guys these days never were in a fight, never played rough with their friends as kids or tweens, never got hit in the face. As a result, they are easily intimidated by even slight acts of physical dominance, like someone raising their voice. They have zero confidence in their ability to handle themselves in a physical confrontation and get easily intimidated by those around them who can use that to their advantage. Story 29. Dating apps. I'm not a bad-looking person, but the hours I put into them make me feel like a downright ugly bugger. I think I'm a bit old school for these looks-first, swipe apps. Story 30. Height requirements. Consistently seeing women openly asking for 6 feet or above on their online Tinder profiles or openly boasting this requirement in social settings. Story 31. Rejection. Gender norms require us to take initiative and put ourselves out there. Obviously, you are not going to get every girl, but the rejection gets mentally taxing. It is tough being rejected as a person over and over again, knowing you will be alone if you do not keep trying and failing. Story 32. I'm not happy I can't get you all the way in my mouth. I couldn't do it with my last boyfriend. I love that you've become more squishy. When we first started dating, you were so bony. I've always had a thing for bald guys. Story 33. Entertaining another man or other men while making me, the man that legitimately likes you and wants something serious, work harder and receive less. Giving attention to someone who doesn't care about the woman so she can receive the smallest bit of hope or validation. I find it disrespectful to make someone work harder for a relationship she originally sought but gives attention occasionally and easily to another man. It's not cool. Playing hard to get and mind games, and denying attention works more on women, and I find it super unethical even if it works well. Not a fan and don't see it as a good starting basis for a healthy relationship. It hurts, it really does, and I'm not even the jealous type. It's just the wasted energy and effort and having to restart. Granted, I'm not entitled, but it's still draining to try. Meanwhile, the guy she's interested in barely cares about her. But I guess that's what dating has become. Modern dating is pretty much a race to see who can care less about the other person. Everybody is so obsessed with not looking needy or desperate to the point it's easier to just do nothing and see who is the better unethical manipulator. It gets old so fast. Story 34. Comparison with an intent to overly criticize, I believe. I heard somewhere that comparison is the thief of joy, and I honestly find it squarely applicable here, especially when it comes from near and dear ones. Could relate to any aspect of life. Story 35. Denied him sex for over 15 months. He tries to initiate but is shot down at every turn. Spooning in bed? No. Cuddling on the couch? No. Walking out of the hot shower? No. All attempts were in vain. I know from personal experience. Story 36. Pornography. Not so much a secret and maybe not the biggest confidence killer, but pornography, in my opinion, is among one of the sneakiest ways to destroy a man's confidence. Story 37. Girlfriend and I have a mutual agreement to not have kids, and I'm happy with that. But once in a while she makes a comment or joke on why it would be a bad idea, and it surprisingly kind of hurts. I guess I want it to be that we agree to not have kids, not that she doesn't want to have my kids. Story 38. Sexless marriage. Ladies, men need sex. Without it, our confidence turns to nothing, which I am sure makes you less attracted to us. Men will eventually pursue sexual interests. I do not condone cheating, but if you have not given your man access to intimacy in years, expect them to try to enter someone else's, Story 39. Doing things you do not want to do because other people expect it from you, instead of not doing those things and focusing on the things you really want for yourself, is a negative pattern that ensures you cannot win. Think about it, then break out of it. Story 40. Not remembering important little details, like my birthday. I don't celebrate my birthday. It's always been another day of work for me since my early 20s. At least write it down in your phone or ask for my ID. Story 41. The takeaway I am getting from this thread is that a huge portion of women are emotionally abusive, which is largely underreported, or have absolutely no self-awareness when they say things.